holidays. And I think the number one piece that I want to talk about is, at least first, would be inner work. Know why you're celebrating what you're celebrating. When you have a connection, a deep connection to whatever it is, whether it be, Hanukkah, Advent, all of the things that are happening over the next 6 weeks, if you are deeply connected to those festivals or those celebrations, then you're invested in a different way. And what I mean by that is, if you're just sort of lukewarm about something, it's really easy for me to do a bad job or blow something off if I'm not invested, like totally invested. But then when I am invested, it's a much stronger, a deeper connection for me, and it makes me want to show up more. And it makes me want to participate more, and it makes me want to put more effort towards it. And it makes me want to be careful that the planning is in a good place. And it makes me want all of these things because I'm emotionally and spiritually invested in what's happening. And I'm that way with anything. If I've got something I have to do, like there are holidays that I'm like really lukewarm about. And my kids know that I'm lukewarm about them because it's never a big deal, a big thing in our house. One of those is Halloween. I've never, even when I was practicing pagan, I was never like, yay, Halloween. And it has nothing to do with costumes or the scary stuff or anything like that. I think for me it has more to do with like the pomp and circumstance of, hello, I got 5 kids and we got to costume them all and, all of the rigmarole that goes with it, and it's just exhausting. But I don't even remember really liking it when I was a kid. And so I don't even know why I don't, but I do, because I feel lukewarm, I go through the motions and I do the things for my kids and I support them through that, but it's not a deep connection. I have a deep connection to November 1st or All Souls Day, but that's a whole different flavor. That's non-commercial. That's definitely like a between you and God situation. You're connecting with your ancestors. So when it comes to those holidays that you feel lukewarm about, know that you're just not going to be full on for those. And so we talk about that with festivals in general, sort of knowing what you're celebrating, knowing what it is that you're trying to bring forward. And that helps, I think, anchor you at the beginning of this season. So I got to spend some time alone yesterday, and that was so nice. Alone and no work. It was really nice, and it wasn't very long. It was just an hour. He would have given me 10 hours if I asked for it, but an hour was what I needed to sort of recenter and get myself in a good place, because it's like you start with walking fast, and then you start running before the end of December, right? So it's like everybody feels like they're running. And so in order to be able to do that, you really have to get centered in yourself and centered about where you are. And honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with like money and the gifts that you're buying or anything like that. I mean, yes, that's definitely a concern on a lot of people's lists, and I totally get that. We have extra people in our house this year, and so it's definitely tighter than it usually is. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about really talking about preparing the inner you and taking that time to really connect. When you do take that time to connect with the festivals and the season that's coming up, then you can really bring your best self forward, and you can plan things for each little thing. Like, so for me, we have St. Nicholas and Advent, and our St. Nicholas is big because Santa doesn't come to us. It's all St. Nicholas. So we have St. Nicholas and we have Advent, and we do a little bit on St. Lucy's Day because I think it's an important holiday for women. And we do the solstice, and we do Christmas, and so we do all of those things in there, and we do stuff here at home, and we do church stuff, and we have I was looking at the calendar yesterday. I thought, all right, gotta take it all in because there's so many things happening in December. This is one of those times when your family planning meetings are so important. Kids have activities. We have church activities. There's activities going on at the dojo. And I have to know where all of them lay, because if I don't, and somebody springs it on me, then it could make me not a nice person. You don't want to be there when I'm not a nice person. So make sure that you have this interconnection and that you take the time to really plan. So, December is coming up, and by the end of this week, sit down today if you haven't already and look at your December calendar, and you make all the phone calls you need to make to get everybody's calendar schedule information so it's on your calendar. And that will help you tremendously. It will help you really understand where you're going and what you're doing and what you have to bake for, and when you've got this and that. And so it really is super helpful. Then take the time to really ask yourself, what am I spiritually looking for in this holiday season? And I'm not talking about what you're celebrating and maybe a little bit, but it's more about like, what is it that you want to get out of this holiday season? Is there an answer you're really looking for? Is there peace you're really trying to strive for? Is there something that you're really trying to connect to? So make your own personal goals for your own inner work, and I think that's vitally important. And I try to do something like that every year, and really with every festival. When I'm going to put myself into it, I want to make sure that I get something spiritually out of it, that's something that feeds me. Otherwise, it's honestly not worth doing. If you are lukewarm about Advent and you aren't connecting to it, don't do it. If you are lukewarm about St. Nicholas or St. Lucy or any of those things, don't do them. Take the time to research and really connect with them this year, and then think about having them next year. In the Waldorf world, there's so much of, I hear this from moms all the time, oh, but everybody's stuff is so beautiful. I'm looking at Facebook and I'm looking at blogs, and everybody's got these beautiful decorations and they're having so much fun baking. Yes, and doesn't mean you have to do it if you don't connect to it. If you do connect to it, take the time to really plan. Take the time to plan out what you're baking this year. Some people go crazy about baking. I used to go crazy about baking. Every year I sit down with my kids in about this next week, and something that we'll probably do today as part of our school, and I say, all right, what things should we bake this year for our Christmas stuff? Then, by doing it this early in December, or now it's like end of November, by doing it this early in the season, I can write down all the ingredients that we need, and we don't have to make everything all at once. And I don't have to buy everything all at once. Because, buying for baking can break your bank if you're not careful. So you can spread it out a little bit. And you can go, okay, well, we'll make these cookies this week. And then this week we'll make these cookies. Or here we'll make this candy. Whatever it is that you're doing. So that way it's not crazy. Now, if you're somebody who likes to do all of the baking all in one week, I would still say gather your pieces all month long so that you aren't feeling that crunch of going to the grocery store and spending $100 on just stuff to make cookies. So kind of get that into your planning, and that will help you as far as not being super frazzled. Again, having your calendar in place. Menus in place for this month, I think, are super important. And just sort of knowing what's coming up. I'm trying to stay a week ahead of menus this month so that we really feel like we're fed, obviously, and that I'm not running around crazy. So I think that's super important as you're going into this more busy time. I also really like to look at the calendar, and I know, okay, I'm going to be at this house, so I don't have to worry about menu on that day. I get really excited when I look at the calendar and I think, oh, I don't have to make anything that day, and I don't have to make anything this day, and this day I don't have to, yeah. So it's really nice because then you get a little bit of a day off on some things. So logistically, those pieces kind of have to work together. And like I said, your inner work is kind of your anchor, because that's the why are you doing this piece. So once you have that piece anchored, don't just do it to go through the motions. Like I said, your kids will know. Like my kids know that I can't stand Halloween. And it has nothing to do with like religion or faith or anything like that. It has everything to do with, dang, that's a lot of wrangling and a whole heck of a lot of candy that I don't want to deal with. So, excuse me. Now think about, however much candy you have, times 5. No, the Sugar Plum Fairies, make bank with our candy in this house. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about Halloween anymore, sorry. So you're sort of moving forward, and when you know that your strength is in the inner work portion, that it helps everything else flow. There were a couple of other comments in the same thread about what we should talk about today, and one mom asked about, like, what do you do when you have this vision for holiday decorations and the little people have their own vision? And I will tell you, just let go. Just let go. You have plenty of time to have your perfect holiday decorations when they are grown and gone. Honestly, I step back. I say, here are the ornaments. I'd like them on the tree. and I let them do it, or we do it together. And if there's stuff that's too close together, clumped together, I wait till they go to bed and I sort them out and fix them, and that way nobody has big feelings about it. Everybody is happy. We usually do our tree usually sometime after St. Nicholas and before the solstice. And there were a lot of years where we just bought it on the solstice, and I love that. But tree people here in San Diego have no trees by then. And so I can't do that. But when it comes to the holiday decorating and things like that in your home, don't stress it. You don't have to have a Martha Stewart house when you have a 4 and 6-year-old. Just have a good time and really enjoy your time with them, because that's what the season's really about. When you're looking at like what's the season, our church has this campaign right now called Light the World. Look it up. It's really awesome. It gives you something different every day. It's like an advent calendar for the Christmas season, and it would work if you're Christian or not. Like the first day one is all about donating stuff, and so there's a great little video about how how you can donate and think different ways that you can do things, and even the children in Sunday school yesterday, they made their own little advent calendar thing, and day one is what toys can you donate to somebody else. And so it's really nice to sort of get everybody in on that. And I don't know how I segued from decorating to that. Sorry, didn't mean to. So when it comes to the decorating, don't stress it. Honestly, I worry more about, is my house clean? Because more people end up coming to the door during that season than anything. So I try to focus on keeping my house more tidy, and the decorations, honestly, let them have a good time. Because what happens when they're teenagers and young adults is they kind of don't care. They don't care, and you really want to still keep them pulled in, and you really want to have it be something that you do together. And if you start when they're young and you allow them to sort of have some free reign when it comes to decorating, and you have a good time as a family, then it's going to be fun for everybody, and you're not going to be stressed out and anxious. And I understand if you have some OCD stuff going on, take some supplements, take some deep breaths, get some rescue remedy, and step back, because you really need to just let them have some fun. Okay, other things on the list that I was thinking about, all the Advent / December questions that were on the suggestions to talk about today. Another one was gift giving. This is a time to flex those handwork muscles. So, if you're part of one of our programs, I've been preaching handwork. And this is one of the awesome reasons why. I mean, lots of people in my family get something handmade. That might not be all they get. Like this year, Ellie works at See's Candies. She says to me yesterday, so how many boxes do you want me to put together? I said, I'll get that to you this week, because there'll be a bunch of little boxes, and she gets a great discount, so that's super helpful. But they also are going to get some handmade stuff. I do not break the bank when it comes to gifts, like family and anywhere, but when it comes to extended family gifts, I definitely don't. So I will. We have the core grandparents, and I try to make sure that they have something that they've asked for Christmas or that they want. But I also am, I also am like creating. So last year I made, we had some felt pieces that we had made from knitting that had been felted, and we made some coasters and some cocoa mug cozies off of that. And this year I've got an abundance of yarn, and so I'm probably going to make some scarves and some cowls. Those go really fast, especially if you're crocheting. Excuse me. Hand warmers. We have a subscription to Happy Hedgehog Post, and all of this stuff was about snowflakes this month. We don't live in snowflake land. So I thought, well, I'm going to put these are some fun little gifts that I could put together for those that do live in the snow. So all of those things will get used. And so I just think about who I'm giving for and to, and go from there. I don't do, like, for many years, I have not participated in family gift exchange. And it's not really financially motivated. It's more of, I would like to, this is me personally, and I know it rocks the boat for some people. I want to connect with the kids that I give gifts to that aren't my own. And so it was really hard for me when we were doing a family gift exchange, to really make sure that I connected with that child. And yes, it was an opportunity to try to connect, but when we live far away, it's too hard. And so I don't participate in those things. And that doesn't make me a Scrooge. And my mom will watch this video. Hi, Mom. She knows me better than that. So it's really about me wanting to make a connection with the people that I'm giving gifts to. And so with that, I give because I want to, not because I feel obligated to. So if you're in a situation where you feel obligated to give gifts to a whole bunch of people, then you better just start drawing them some pictures or something, because that's insane, and that is not what the season is about. Remembering what the season is about helps you sort of temper the gift giving. Within my own family, within our kids, our immediate family, I come up with a budget, and I really work to stick within that budget. And that budget is hard when there's no more money in December. There's actually less money this month than there is the other months. So we have to plan ahead a little bit more. We have to do a little bit of extra things, so that we can make sure that we have those things available. And I also really work on expectations for my kids. We've had years when things have been more abundant, and I haven't had to talk about expectations. But then we've had years when they're not, and this year happens to be one of them, where I've talked openly about expectation, and openly about, okay, this is what we think we will work with our budget, and here's some things that I don't think will work with our budget. And when you raise kids in an open environment where you're talking continually about family, the family and things that are important to the family, then it's okay to have those conversations. And they understand those conversations because they see what's going on. They see, excuse me, they see that there are years that are more abundant and years that aren't. And, with regards to my young adults, they're right on it, and they're understanding, and they're happy to help and happy to throw things. Ellie says to me, Mom, I really just want a 6-foot cord for my iPhone. I said, okay, why? Because I really don't want to have to get out of bed, turn off my alarm clock. Okay, 6-foot cord. That's $8 on Amazon. I can do that. But really, when it comes down to kids that are really listening and really connected to you, then they see that there is need, and so we make things happen within our home. That's when you know that things are not all tied up in the presents. When you know that things are more about the experiences than they are about the gifts that they're getting. And so, really making sure that you have those experiences going, I think, is important. And that sort of brings me to another topic. One of the criticisms we had about our Advent book, just kind of makes me laugh, but was that we didn't have enough activities in it. And so to that, I would just say, slow down. You don't need so many activities. In the Waldorf world, like I said, we're sort of seeing everybody else's activities, and Mom's like, I gotta have something for every single day. And they stress out about it. Slow down. Enjoy yourself. Sit and listen to sparkle stories with your kids on the couch while you're knitting. Go for a walk. If you have snow, play in the snow. You don't need an activity for every single day during Advent. You don't need an activity for every single day during December. Just have fun. Use the time off as time to connect. We're not taking a ton of time off this year because we played a little bit too much in the beginning. So we're doing school through December. Not a ton, but enough. And so that will keep us busy. But even if it wasn't, on years that we haven't done school in December, as often we don't, do the, Kelly says, I tell my kids it's good to be bored. It fuels the imagination. It does. It does. And I think especially during this time of the year, if they look like they're kind of like bored, I'll go, hey, you know what? Here's a Christmas card list. You guys want to address envelopes for me? Or let's make some Christmas cards. Or, there's invent things to do for every day. You don't need an activity that's laid out. When we wrote our Advent book, I purposefully only put an activity for each week because I don't want to overwhelm people. And I don't want to be overwhelmed. I put the things within our Advent book that we actually do consistently. That we do every year that are like staples in our home. So come up with traditions that you do as a family. Like I said, often we bake once a week during the Christmas season, or we'll bake a lot during one week. I like spreading it out more. So there's not so many baked goods all at once. We have time to eat them before more come. Otherwise, it's sugar high fest in the Nielsen house. That doesn't look pretty ever. I don't know how it looks in your house, but it doesn't look pretty in mine. But really, it comes with that planning piece. Plan it out. What are you going to do? Have fun. Do not be all tied up and stressed about doing all these crafts and doing all these things and, I have to orchestrate everything. You are not a cruise director. Slow down. Have a good time. Go to the library. One year, I remember, it was the first year that I was a single mom. It's the only year that I was a single mom. And we had, not mucho dinero. Almost none. I can remember thinking, what in the heck? What are we going to do? And I had this idea. Let's go to the library and get all of the books we want, and we will read a different book every day during Advent. We did it. I had to go to the library a couple of times because fines and too many things on our list and all of that. But we went, and I got a different, and some of them were Christmas books, some of them were holiday books, but they weren't all. We just, we picked out a book, and at the time I just had the 3 big kids. We picked out a book for every day during Advent, and I sat down with them every night with some hot cocoa, and it was our thing. It was what we were doing, and it really, especially during that season when it was our first season alone, because it was just us, it was really anchoring for them that we had this space that we came together every night. And it was fun. We had all different kinds of books, and we had books from, because I was really wanting to make sure we had celebrations from other countries, and we had all kinds of, and we had silly books, and because I let them help me pick. And when you let kids help you pick, sometimes you get Captain Underpants and stuff like that. So we had books, all kinds of books, but the point is that we came together every night during Advent. We just read a book together before bed, and it was in addition to whatever else we were doing. But it was I had a basket all set aside for it. It was by our tree, and we had a good time with that. And so I encourage you to do things that aren't costly, that aren't a big deal, that aren't going to make you crazy. Don't have to come up with a different craft every week. You don't have to come up with a bunch of different things to do during that month. Just have fun, and don't feel like it has to be orchestrated for you. So much of the stress that comes during the holiday season comes because we have these preconceived notions of how it has to be instead of just relaxing and remembering, going back to that inner work connection. So you anchor it at the beginning of the season, but you have to work it through the entire season. The entire season. If you're celebrating Advent, every week when you're celebrating, every week when you light that new candle, I want you're not just doing it with your kids. Take the time. Advent's a time of anticipation, whether it be anticipating the birth of Christ or anticipating the birth of the Son. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's a little bit different in the Southern Hemisphere. Every week is a week of anticipation. So really think about that every week and get out of your head and just into your feeling parts. And that's why you're here and enjoying yourselves. Having a warm and fun and stable home life during these months or during these weeks is super important. It's super anchoring. That's what your kids are going to remember. The kids remember all kinds of weird things. We don't live near family, so at Thanksgiving I was like, what should we cook? And my daughter's like, duh, what do you mean what should we cook? A turkey? I'm like, okay. We ended up making a chicken because our turkey was still frozen, but all of the trimmings and everything that went with it, because that was what she was anchored with in childhood. And I was happy to go, all right, well, let's make it. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. I didn't. It was because it was something that they enjoyed and that they remembered. And my other son was like, "Hey, did you eat this on this day?" And I was like, "Yes, Mister. I live 1,000 miles away." Asked if we were eating the same thing that he remembered always eating at our house at Thanksgiving. So, your kids really come up with things that are anchors for them, and you want those to be good anchors. You don't want them to have memories of you rushing around crazy. And sure, that's happened, and all of us have often I got to get that one last thing. A lot of people get paid like 3 days before Christmas, so I totally get that. Totally get that. We used to be in that place when we brought home a regular paycheck like that, but now it's more like we have to plan it out, and then we try to relax into it. So really taking the time to relax into it and enjoying the season is what I would say. Also, I would say sing together. And I know that I say that to a lot of people, and they go, "What? I don't want to sing." Well, sing together, especially if you are celebrating religious holidays this season. The hymns that come with Christmas and Advent and all of those things that come around with it. And I'm sure there's some amazing songs that are Hanukkah centered that also just sing together, have a good time, and really enjoy each other. And I find that really warms you, and it helps you to stay anchored and remember why you're doing this. And it's really important, I think, to when you approach these next 6 weeks, that it's not just about, I got to get to the end. And when you're getting to that place of, I just got to get to the end. And I, trust me, I've totally been there. And Eric and I were just having this conversation the other day of, we just got to get to the end. But then we go, all right, no, that's not how we want to feel. And as a grown-up, I get to choose my feelings, right? I get to choose how I react to things. So I get to choose to get myself anchored and settled into where I need to be. And that's part of being a grown-up. And that's part of why you sign on to this journey. So again, if you don't want to do it, don't do any of it. But if you want to do it and you want to have a good time, take the time to plan. So I think that's everything today. I just wanted to get the seasonal stuff off the plate first thing, and all of the other requests for videos will be, yes, Kimberly says thrive, don't just survive. Yes. I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you really understand the season that you're walking into, and you're enjoying it, and you're looking forward, and not being frustrated. So, prayers to you. Have a wonderful week. Bye now.